Okay, we're going to start palms out and down. Press down, flexing your triceps so your biceps relax, and you're going to just loosen the wrist. Basically, we're trying to stretch the wrist here. Shouldn't be painful, but there should be some tension. And as you get more and more flexible, you can sit back into it even more and stretch the wrist. So from here, basically working things from both sides. So shake it out, get a little blood back in the hand. And you get two ways you can hit this. So we're hitting the wrist from the other angle now. So palms in, or you may sit up and still palms in, but press it into the hip there. You get a good stretch on the wrist from that angle. Same as before, you're going to flex the triceps, relax the biceps, and just kind of push into it. Just give it some good tension, nice hold, a good stretch. And as you go along, spend a little more time on the stretch you need. So from here, shake it out again. Now we're going to go into the yoga style stretch, kind of going down. But you're going to push your head through and feel those shoulder blades open up. You can move your grip in. And come into this, you're going to press your hips into the ground. You may flex your glutes a little just to sort of relax your front end, your hip flexors. You're going to just kind of lay into that. I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times here. Ease back into this stretch. Nice straight arms. Open up those shoulder blades. And back again. And in this stretch, you could also look almost into the sky, almost like you're trying to look behind you to really get a good stretch in there. Now with this whole routine, remember you're doing this at the end of a workout. Your body's like taffy. Stretch is good at the end of a workout when it's warm. You can break something if you do it cold. So now, in this stretch, it's like a little bit of a balance there. Knee is tracking over the toes. So that front leg is almost like a deep squat. The back leg is just relaxed. Just relaxing into a stretch, letting the hips drop. Just kind of following along on that. Just turning here just so you see it from a different angle, but it's the same exact position. So just putting the arm out. As you do this, you'll just feel the leverage a little bit different, so it just kind of affects the stretch slightly different from the different angles. And as I showed there, knees over the toes, you want to still keep that leg going in the same direction there. Now you come up, you'll feel this a little more in the hip flexor. I think just do a nice little reach through, do a few of these. And as you do this, you can sit into it a little more and feel that hip flexor open up. So from here, swing back. Again, we're keeping that knee over the toe on that bent leg. Now you can start off by pushing that, in this case, the left heel into the ground for a few seconds. Nice and hard. Take a PNF stretch and relax it. You can flex the quad and that opens up the hamstring. When you flex the one muscle, the opposing muscle relaxes. Lets you get deeper into that stretch. We'll swing around. This is the same way we started. just a different angle. Just relaxing into the stretch again. So you kind of come up. Your feet are about shoulder width, your legs. You're going to pull that heel in. Now here you're just kind of dipping your hip downward and inward, and that really hits the quad and the hip flexor area. It's a very slight movement, but you'll feel it. From there, just kind of do a hamstring hold, holding that heel up. And again, spend more time where you need it. This is a variation of the pigeon stretch. You want to try to keep a neutral spine here. In this case, I'm tracking the belly button over the knee. Try to open up that hip. This is a 90-90. A few variations can be done on this. In this case, I'm going towards my knee. As you get better, you'll actually come more centered in between the legs, leaning. And again, spend more time where you need it. This is a good stretch to do, a 2-minute stretch. I'm not going to do it that long on this recording, but you get the idea. Again, you can do a PNF style stretch here, pushing that, in this case, the right knee into the ground for a few seconds and then fall into the stretch a little deeper. So I'm doing a 90-degree on this case on the right leg, my right leg. Hips into the ground, just trying to open up that hip from the other side. It's almost like a push-up, just relaxing the hip into the ground, doing a hold. I'm basically just taking you through it on the other side. So again, sitting into the stretch, that front leg, it's like a squat position, a deep squat position. And using that leverage to get deeper into the stretch, just kind of moving my arm around and relaxing into the stretch, letting those hips drop. Now I bring up onto my back toe there, doing these reach throughs. As I come up, I'm letting my hips drop a little, trying to stretch that hip flexor. Get into the seated position again here. I'll try to PNF stretch again. Push the heel down, make sure my knee is over my toes. And if you notice my left elbow, I'm demonstrating here. If your knees tend to cave in, you could kind of help it along by pushing your elbow into that knee to make sure it's staying in the right position. As you get better and better, you can get lower and lower. You could start getting your elbow to touch the ground. Come back to the starting position, and again, just relax into the stretch. Again, we're going to pivot that hip forward and down, and that'll stretch that quad and hip flexor. Hamstring hold. And pigeon on this side. Go to a 90-90. Now you're going to notice as you go through these stretches, we're asymmetrical, we tend to be, as much as we try to be symmetrical. So you're going to notice one hip may be tighter than the other, one hamstring may be tighter than the other. That's actually quite common. So again, work it where you need it. Spend a little more time on the side that needs it. And again, on this case, the left leg is at a 90-degree angle. The right leg is straight back. Just resting the hips into the floor, opening up that hip socket on the left side. From here, again, you go where you can on this, but eventually you can work your way down, going into a split stretch. Starting with the shoulders. So while I'm, just for demonstration purposes, while I'm doing a fist, I'm actually pushing my straight arm into the other arm, like a PNF style stretch. When I open, I'm just relaxing the arm and pulling it back. Try to get deeper into the stretch. And as I go along, I try to widen that split. So now I'll just kind of gently push myself into the split from side to side. As you get real good at this, you can maybe touch that elbow to the outside of your leg. So as you go into the split, tighten your quad, and that'll relax the hamstring. So after hitting each side, we're going to get towards the center. As you come down, again, you're trying to open up those hips and get into the stretch that way. Don't try to pull yourself down by your abs. You're going to try to just open up those hips and come down into the stretch. Now in my case, I spend a little more time on this one. I find this one helps me a lot. You'll notice there's days where you're tighter than others. Sometimes you get nice and low, sometimes not so much. But it's good to keep after it. And the more often you do this, which ideally is after every training session, it gets easier. And just gingerly kind of bring your legs together. Shake it out a little toe touching, figure 4. On this one, we're going to pull that knee in, try to keep that spine neutral, pull the knee into the chest. Again, you can do a PNF style, trying to push your knee away from your body, and you'll feel that in your glute. You can finish off just kind of hanging out in a squat, and you're good to go.